Well, good Tuesday evening, everyone. State Representative Brad Halbrook. Uh, Thanks for joining our Tuesday night Illinois Freedom Caucus Roundtable. I'm joined with the leader chairman of the Illinois Freedom Caucus, Chris Miller. Chris, thanks for joining. And the state director, Collin Moseley. Collin, thank you for joining. Gentlemen, it's great to have you back around the conservative campfire again this evening, the home of truth, logic, and common sense. And we want to kind of have a little roundtable discussion about a couple of really current issues that should be maybe talked about a little bit. So with that, Collin, let's get into the slides, and we're going to talk about the new lawsuit against the Illinois mental health bill, and then we're going to talk about King Pritzker and his mountains of campaign cash that continues to grow. And with that, the first slide is the required school mental health evaluation bill. This was passed and signed into law this past spring. No, I don't believe any Republicans, Collin, I don't believe any Republicans in the House voted for this bill, did they?
Correct.
Yeah. And so, but it doesn't matter. The Democrats have enough votes to pass anything. They could have a dozen plus of their members stay home, and they can still pass stuff without the Republicans. And so, but anyhow, this bill made it to the desk. Lots of issues. Chris, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this. Maybe we'll go to Collin and kind of flesh this out about what this bill does and what this lawsuit means.
Well, I think it's pretty interesting that people that are trying to explain this away and explain that this is really a good bill. But when you think about what's been going on in the educational industrial complex and all of the tentacles that are reaching far and wide, and also the fact that this party that brought this bill forward doesn't even know the difference between a man and a woman, I'm not sure that I want them to have anything to do with mental evaluation of my kids or grandkids.
Yeah, exactly. So, Collin, this would allow someone, right? The rules are yet to be written, but this would allow somebody in the school system to start evaluating students as early as third grade.
Yeah, and again, to your point, we don't know who. The Adam Niemerg and others on the floor got up and questioned the sponsor about sort of who, what, where, when, and why. And it's all going to be subject to, rulemaking and JCAR and all these bureaucrats that are unelected. And that's sort of the recipe for disaster we see in Springfield, because every time you see a bill, whether it be the AR-15 ban or this mental health bill, whatever it may be, they always seem to want to pass ambiguous laws or bills or language. And then we find out actually 6 months later what's in the bill. It's like Nancy Pelosi says, we got to pass it to figure out what's in the bill. And this is one of those examples where we don't know who's going to be asking our kids these questions or what the questions are going to be. But we know that if you don't like it, that you're going to end up on some government list somewhere.
Right.
Well,
go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say another thing too is that if you think this through and look at and critically think about what they would do, is they would be promoting that there's only one way to think, and that's the way that they think, and anything other than following their far left radical agenda would be inappropriate, and they would deem the child to have mental health issues, and they would have to go possibly to a re-education camp.
Well, and again, we see bill after bill every spring mandating this or that curricula that's got nothing to do with figuring out how to do math, how to read, how to do any of these basic skills that when we see the reports on the Illinois School Association's website or the agency's website, where they show that mostly 3 out of 4 kids are not doing math or reading at grade level, and some schools even worse than that. And then most recently, they changed the rules to have a better score. And so, these guys want to be able to write the rules and come up with this testing procedure. It just seems kind of whopper-jawed. They think this is a good idea, but this is just the way they think.
Right. Well, and we said that all along, and thankfully, America First Legal agrees. Mm-hmm. And America First Legal has stepped in and filed a federal inquiry into whether or not this bill is legal, because on a lot of fronts, it's infringing on the rights of parents. Again, what
Mhm.
government list do you end up on for not wanting to opt your
Mhm.
child into this? Who's asking the questions? Who's protecting the kids in the room?
Right.
We simply don't know. And to Chris's point about the agenda, I don't want anybody that doesn't know the correct answer to how many
Mhm.
genders there are asking my kid how many genders there are.
Right.
Because what if the answer is two and they don't like that?
Right.
So again, lots of dangerous questions. And by the way, this is another example of the Democrats try to put these little cute, emotionally appealing titles on things. The Protect Illinois Communities Act, mental health care for students. Well, that's not what this is. And they fooled a lot of people into thinking this is about mental health care for students, and it's not. It's about pushing an agenda.
Right. And I think that we don't know what the long lasting effects of these tests might be. We don't know just kind of how the unintended consequences might play out. Um, we believe that they do have an agenda here, but they're not being very honest and upfront about what that really is. But we just have to be cautious, right? And I think, Colin, before we move on to the next one, there is an opt out for parents. We believe there should be multiple notifications for an opt in, that parents should have to opt in rather than opt out. So let's talk about the opt out process, maybe just a touch, and maybe how we need to make sure parents know about that.
Well, yeah. So if you encounter this issue in your local school district, you can, or you are supposed to be able to opt your child out. Again, haven't seen the rules on how that looks.
Mhm.
I know Awake Illinois and maybe some other folks have put out
Mhm.
sort of what an opt out form would look like for
Mhm.
this evaluation. But again, until we see the administrative rules on this, we don't know for sure what it looks like. But parents, be wary, be vigilant, because starting next school year, you can start seeing this stuff appear. We will certainly put out
Right.
information about opting out, and be prepared to be questioned, right?
Right.
Be
Exactly.
prepared to be met with resistance from the education bureaucrats.
Right. Right. Exactly. All right, gentlemen, anything left on this topic, or we should move on to the next one? All right. Next slide. We're going to talk about, he's elected governor, but he acts like a king. He's tried to rule Illinois for months on end, years on end by executive order, and continues to write executive orders even this fall, doing many, many weird things in the state of Illinois. But the governor, also referred to as a king, has thrown another $25 million plus at campaigns, and this is totaling somewhere over 200 million. Some sources say this number might even be close to $350 million. Chris Collins, what's your thoughts here?
Well, I think that it's important for people to understand that JB Pritzker once again is trying to buy the governorship rather than win the governorship and win the vote through good public policy. And if you think about what has happened under his watch, he's been the responsible for the lack of safety and security,
Mhm.
plummeting test scores in education. The economic opportunities are being proved out by the number of businesses that are either shuttering their windows or they're leaving the state for greener pastures and more opportunity. He's destroyed energy independence. Illinois used to be a net exporter of energy, and our energy, the electricity we used to heat and cool our homes was very reasonable. But because of JB Pritzker's appetite to kill the coal industry, the only thing he's ended up killing is the middle class and the and what he's done is skyrocketed the cost of energy and doing business here in the state of Illinois. Just to mention three or four, just off the top of my head.
Right. Well,
Well,
Colin, he has definitely declared war on Illinoisans. He's declared war on rural Illinois without a doubt. Um, He wants to throw cash at opening up a grocery store, taxpayer funded cash at this grocery store to solve this or that problem, when it's all policy related. If they'd have different policies, we wouldn't have to take this money to throw at these problems. But evidently he thinks we just have to have another 4 years of him in the office and it'll all be better.
Well,
Yeah.
ultimately, what he's doing is he's killing the economy and killing the middle class, hardworking people that get up and go to work every day, are trying to raise their kids and pay their bills.
Yeah.
Well, what blows my mind is where are the people screaming about no kings now?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has spent what, $200 to $300 million on a seat that pays $170,000 a year, give or take. I mean, he has spent a small country's GDP to become governor. I mean, it's
Well,
just, and yet, he's not a king. Come
this will
on.
be the third time he's done it too. Well, look at the graphic there. He's already got a crown and all,
Yeah.
all that.
Hey, the graphic must be real. It's on the internet. So
It has to
right.
be real.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you I would be curious to find another governor, maybe nationwide, that has spent as much personal cash and has ruled under executive order, combination of those two things, more than Governor Pritzker. So if anybody is a king in this country, it's him. And I don't know what makes people think he'd be any different in the White House. He'd just be worse.
exactly. Wow. Always exciting stuff here in the state of Illinois. With that, Colin, close us out with how to find us and stay in touch.
Yeah, IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org. Of course, the Substack there at substack.com, where you can find our publications. And so all social media channels, YouTube, X, Facebook, website, whatever it may be, for your conservative news.
Hey, should we mention our town hall tomorrow night by any chance?
Yeah, come see us in Champaign County at the GOP Women's event there in Urbana.
Excellent. All right. With that, gentlemen, any other closing thoughts? I know we've had a nice rain here in Central Illinois, East Central Illinois overnight and early this morning. So that was nice. Inch and a half plus, I think, in most places. So that's been good. Looks like harvest is pretty well wound down. And so, yeah.
Beans have rallied buck and change, and corn is trying to follow as hard as it can, even though it doesn't seem like it's still lagging a little bit behind. But we're back entering into the golden age of America now that the government's back open again, and the Congresswoman is back in DC. She was directing the choir yesterday, which that always makes me chuckle.
I'm really curious how you're going to operate day to day and find your way around on the road in your vehicle without Mary next to you in the passenger seat. It always makes me.
Did church on Sunday. I did ask one of the church ladies if I could call her for counsel if I didn't know exactly what to do.
All right. Well, with that, gentlemen, let's close out for the evening and say thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate that you would like, share, and comment and subscribe to all of our different channels to help us overcome the algorithmic gods of the big tech overlords. And with that, Mr. Director, if you will hit the out music, we'll say good night for the evening.